to do today is talk a little bit about essentially what we do at LISA, which is meeting wonderful artists who work with technology. I have my own sort of boundaries, and people may disagree, and I'm sure do disagree. But I say yes if it's art that's being made with computer code, using the internet, using data, using engineering principles, electronic sound I put in the category, experts and experimenters. I'm going to talk about the first sort of category that people often think about when they think about tech art, or they think about new media art, and it is what I call postmodern. So a couple of artists in that category that you may have heard of, Corey Archangel, talking about Ryan Tricartin, because this is really just a small sliver of what we're seeing in tech art. Another category, and a lot of this work will be in multiple categories. It's not like a separate kind of thing, like either you're A or you're B. These are just sort of characteristics of some of the things you will see in tech art. But a lot of tech art has a sort of anti-authority streak, a global, not just one government, but really a global government or anti-government activist. The I writer is something that a lot of artists have been working on, an open source project, and you can see in the picture over on the right, that is a projection of his I-written graffiti on the side of a real wall of a real building. Open source, which is art where the software recipe is made available to anybody who wants to see how the art was made, and they can tinker with the recipe themselves, or they can add to the recipe, they can change the nature of that software. So that's Jonathan Harris put together a number of years ago, probably about a decade ago now, a web project called We Feel Fine. And Kyle McDonald is doing a lot of open source work. He's a really interesting artist, and he's created this open source software tool where you can do different things with the face. It's called Face Shift Studio. Algorithmic art, or generative art, art that is using computer code to actually make images. And an early example of this is with image processing. Ken Knowlton in 1967. So Scott Draves, my husband, who's going to be speaking later this afternoon, in 1992 created the flame algorithm, which generated this image in 1993. And this is a more recent image made with the flame algorithm by Scott, again, my husband. So you can see the transition from this to this.
It's a vortex, it's a strength of circulation. And every one of those particles, every one of those elements affects every other element in the whole simulation. And we're going to
a couple more of these categories quickly. 3D printed art. This is graffiti that's been rendered in 3D and printed out in metal. Iris Van Herpen is making fashion. She's making dresses and outfits that are 3D printed. Interactive, there's a lot of really great interactive art using motion sensors or cameras. There are a lot of ways to get input. Snippy is doing great stuff with interactivity.
In French, we use the expression un point c'est tout to put an end to a conversation. But I like the expression for its other meaning. In one point, there can be everything. We are a duet. I'm passionate about the link between image, space, and imagination.
This is the conclusion of my talk, that with all the different ways that technology is impacting art, and that art is impacting technology, that this is a movement that the art establishment is going to need to learn how to accept. And I really want to give kudos to Brian and the Coral Springs Museum of Art for being so interested in tech art and for supporting this movement.